Hey, 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 youngua. Hey, 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 youngua. Hey, 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 youngua. Hey, 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 youngua. Hey, 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 youngua. Hey, 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 hey,
Oh, here I am
youngua.
back. Another Tim talk.
Youngua.
I'm just sitting here on my front porch,
Youngua. Youngua.
and I want to entitle this one to Tend a Garden. Tend a Garden. Might add in there, create a garden. I live on a piece of wilderness land. It's already a garden. But around my house and all the buildings we built for our outdoor school and for our home, we had to plant plants. I have right now. I took it seriously, and I created a garden that I promised. I'll back up. I promised when I had to bulldoze the land for the house that I was building. I promised the manzanita plants that I had to kill and the other trees around that I had to kill, that I would create a garden better than ever for plants and wildlife. And you know, here I am sitting in it right now talking to you, and it's true. I'm not bragging, but I do feel good about it. I have done it. I haven't done it alone. My wife, Jean, Julie, our caretaker, our countless students, my friends, all have been a part of it. The community has done it. But it was my vision, and it's something you need to know. Leadership's important. Vision is needed to do things. Somebody has to have an idea and be the one to step up and make something happen. Otherwise, it just stays in the thought process and nothing ever happens. When you take action on something and it's beautiful, and with a little nudge and encouragement here and there, people come forth because people want to do the right thing. They want to be a part of a sense of place, and they want to be of help when help is needed and be of service, and they want to create. It fills people up to the heart and the soul to do this. So this garden is a masterwork of a community of people, and a loose knit community that have all had their part in it. And I'm talking about the garden around my house now, not a food garden, which is another incredible thing to do. Although a lot of the plants I've planted are food items that I eat. Like I have blackberries, and I have raspberries, and I have grapes, and a lot of the leafy plants I eat. And there's the natural wild plants, like the currants here, um, and so forth that I eat. There's medicinal plants like the lavender and the sage and the heather and so forth that I make edible. I make medicinal plants out of, or I eat, or I use them for like thyme and things like that, or for eating and so forth. Um, I've created rock gardens. I've planted plants within rock gardens. I planted a wild meadow in my backyard. I wanted an aspen forest. I created an aspen forest. I'm looking at it right now past the camera. It is magnificent as the leaves blow in the wind and glitter. I just love it. I've created beauty. There's a walking archway. I'm looking at a giant black cottonwood that started itself. You know a garden has arrived when plants start themselves, when the garden becomes a living being regenerating itself, and when new plants show up and new animals show up. My garden is full of thousands of birds. We have over 200 birds that fledge as babies every year from the 40 to 50 bird houses I have. I feed birds. I offer water to them. We have countless squirrels that live here, and they bring in predators who eat them, like the different hawks and the coyotes and the foxes and the things like that. I have pack rats that live all around the yard. I have mice. I have voles. I have you name it, gophers. And yet, do some of them get me mad sometimes when they attack my plant? Yeah, I'm human. I have feelings. Do I kill them all? No. On occasion, do I kill some? Some I do. I either eat them or put them back in nature for something else to eat. Like mice are always a challenge because they can take over so quickly, particularly dwellings and homes and things. But my garden regenerates itself. I'm looking at this beautiful red maple tree right here now. It's a summer red. In the fall, this garden, it turns color so beautiful. I feel like I'm in a New England, and I'm in California, I'm in a New England fall. It's just so full of color. I'm looking at grapes right now that soon I'll just be able to walk up and go pluck them with my teeth and eat them. And yes, half the grapes get eaten by animals, half by me. That seems fair. Right over here, I have a cherry tree that is magnificent. I have about a dozen cherry trees, but there's this one. It just seems to have found its home, its happy place. And we just finished eating thousands of cherries from it. And the joy of climbing it and picking the cherries by our kids, incredible. At the same time, hundreds of robins came in and blue jays and other birds to eat the cherries. We all shared in it. Great abundance. I've got mountain ash trees with berries over here for just strictly for wildlife. I've got blackberry plants that are for me and the wildlife. Endless flowers. We have 3 beehives. The bees pollinate everything. We have mason bees. We have wasps and hornets and endless dragonflies and butterfly bushes that are covered with butterflies. And the bees drink the water out of the water as well as the birds, and they do well. We've had a bear through lately that's been tested us. He pushed over one of our beehives, but they must have stung the heck out of him because we were able to put it back together. The queen was okay, and the bees have gone on. Tending a garden, creating a garden consciously, planting it with native plants that provide food for birds and other animals, and thinking about the decorative plants you plant that are also useful. The stages of a garden. There's the absolute stunning beauty of the flowers and the leaves, the shapes, the patterns. Having a garden be in layers of life, filling the stones with plants, knowing that there's frogs and toads all in them, and lizards and snakes all living in all the cracks and the places and underneath the rocks. This land is alive around the house. I live in a wildlife sanctuary, and I'm no better than you or anybody else, but I've made a commitment to being an earth caretaker and doing it, and I've done it well. And now my garden, I have probably 240 species of plants that I've planted. 80 fruit trees alone. Half that fruit goes to wildlife, half to me. 240 species of plants, and the garden is now at a place it's about 20 years old, and things grow fast around Mount Shasta. There's something about the energy here, and when you put love and care into a garden, growth speeds up. So it's probably more like a 30 or 40-year-old garden, but it is now maturing, and it creates itself. It does its own thing. It maintains itself. You know, one of the best moves I ever made, I planted a Chinese willow. It's in the front yard over here. I should do a Tim Talk under it sometime. It is literally, it's an umbrella over the whole front. It's a wildlife habitat unto itself. The amount of insects that live in it and eat from it, and the bird habitat and squirrel habitat that is provided, and the other insects that come in for it. It's a habitat unto itself. And visually, it is so freaking beautiful. It'll blow your mind. I could sit and look at it for hours and I started the tree this big. It was this big. It's got a lot of love put into it. Love is everywhere in this garden. Thought is everywhere. You can also add beautiful things like art pieces you make, things like that, that make you stop and think. You know, little sit spots are really important in a garden to make people stop and sit and think and observe and feel and wonder. Again, like that talk, I have a sense of place for this garden. It's my garden. It belongs to the earth and all the animals that live in it. But I feel good. I made this garden. And that's an okay feeling to have. I don't need to engage my ego in it and get full of myself. I can just come from gratitude. Build a garden. Ho. Now the other idea about, I'm going to wait a minute.